Hey everyone, happy Sunday, and thank you for joining this virtual meet and greet with a rising or a star in the U.S. Senate race, someone that I highly respect. First off, I'm David Clark, state representative here in Georgia, in my eighth year, fourth term, and the man who's running for the U.S. Senate, who I'm have the honor to introduce today, is none other than my oldest brother, Josh Clark. I can tell you from growing up with him, I'm 35, so I've known him for 35 years, and just watching the man he is, the life he has lived. He's a man of integrity, high morals, and it's something. If you follow my politics, it's something that I call out if those who are elected or those who are running for office are not living to the highest standard, because our country is in a crisis right now, and anyone who puts himself up to run needs to be of that caliber, and that's my brother. So I can tell you, I'm excited about him running. He is someone who can win this race, and he's someone I've seen live moments, not just in the public eye, but behind closed doors. Growing up with him, he's somebody I idolize, I look up to, and he's my role model. So with that, I hand it over to Josh Clark, who's going to be our next U.S. Senator come the general election when he wins the big primary race come May.
Well, thank you, David. Thank you so much for joining me today and for your kind introduction. So blessed to have you as a brother. And thank you for being an American hero, not only for your service currently in the state legislature and serving so honorably, but as a Army Ranger. And now, for those of you who don't know, he will not be running for re-election and instead has decided to re-enlist. And I can't speak of what he's doing now, but let me just tell you, he's bad to the bone. So, David, I appreciate you. You are the American hero. Appreciate all of you and the rest of our military who is fighting and putting their life literally on the line for our freedom. And there's no more better, appropriate way to start this meet and greet than the song that we just heard, Proud to be an American. For those of you who are watching the live broadcast, you didn't get to hear that, but that's how we started. And it just gives me the chills just to hear that song. And I am proud to be American, and I know you are too. I want to thank you all for being with us today. Here in Georgia, we got folks joining us from around the country, but it is a snowy, wintry day. I've been out making snowmen and sledding with my 6 children, and so it's been a great day. But I want to thank all of you again for showing out today to be here with us to learn about this U.S. Senate race. And that just tells me, I know I'm surrounded by a bunch of patriots to take the time to be with us today. And you may have heard that there's a celebrity in the race. And let me just right from the start, let me let you know, that's not me. I'm not, I can't run the 40-yard dash in 4 seconds. I didn't win a Heisman Trophy. I didn't win a championship for Georgia. I am a Bulldog, and I'm proud of our latest championship. But I am a patriot, just like, again, obviously, you are to be here today. And so over the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you who I am, why I'm running, why I'm passionate about serving our country, and why, and I say this in all humility, but why I believe I had the energy to win and I had the experience to deliver results on day one. And so we'll talk a little bit about that and why it so happens that I am the only person with that experience in this race at a very crucial time in our country's history. But first of all, who am I? Well, I grew up as the oldest of 10 children. David is just one of my 6 brothers. I have 6 brothers and 3 sisters. And I grew up on a small farm in Suwanee, Georgia. And my father was a pastor. We were very poor. In fact, I like to say we were the poor talked about. That's how poor we were. My mother was very sick. She was missing organs from an accident. And so growing up, I learned to serve as the oldest from a very early age. And looking back, I have to say that as hard as those times were, I wouldn't change them for a moment, other than for my mother not to have to go through the suffering that she did. But thankfully, she's here today. We found some great nutrition, some nutritional products that turned her health around. And so she's actually in great health today. So we thank God for that as well. But as a result of needing to serve and a big family, and I didn't get to play sports. So I didn't even have a chance to be a Heisman Trophy winner. Not that I would have anyway, but I do love sports, but it's one of those things that we had to sacrifice because that's one of those privileges. Even though it may feel like a rite of passage here in America, but it is a privilege. And so anyway, I got started early working. I was homeschooled. So when I wasn't, my mother was a teacher, but I wasn't doing my school, I was working. I was helping raise my younger siblings. I was working, had different businesses. I had a small farm that I helped. I would run that. Had dairy goats and a little bit of everything, horses, cows, you name it. But kind of fast forwarding out of high school, I got involved right away trying to help get conservatives elected. And you might say, wow, why that early? What was it that moved you? Well, being homeschooled, I was blessed with a great curriculum. I was blessed with a great teacher, and I loved history. I loved learning about our founding fathers. I loved learning about those founding documents that allowed our country to take this quantum leap, a 5,000-year leap that allowed us to be this beacon, this light for freedom around the world. And I knew that freedom wasn't free. I knew that we don't pass it on in the bloodstream. That's got to be fought for. It's got to be defended, that we have to be proactive or we'll lose that very thing we're so blessed with. And so my parents had me memorize a lot of scripture. As I think I may have mentioned, my father was a pastor. And one of the verses that really stood out for me was, when the godly are in authority, the people rejoice, but sin is a reproach to any people. So as I said, I got involved right away out of high school, trying to help get good people elected, people that as far as I could tell, and sometimes I was quite frankly disappointed, but as far as I could tell, people that I felt were running for the right reasons, who understood our Constitution, were constitutional conservatives, understood limited government. And I would roll up my sleeves and I would just get to work, and I'd do that part-time, although sometimes it was more like full-time, but just as a volunteer, while I was also building businesses. At 18, I became a distributor with a company and started building my own business. That business is still in business today, still provides for our family. I ended up starting another business, a real estate brokerage, and started expanding my real estate investment portfolio and all. But all along, I was trying to be involved. I helped to work on both U.S. Senate races when we had Democrat U.S. senators, and was so excited, so proud when we flipped the state red. I got married to my childhood sweetheart, and we have 6 children. That's the greatest blessings in my life. All right, they're age 6 to 18, and we are truly blessed. I've got 4 girls and 2 boys. And at 30 years old, I went from volunteering, and I never thought that I was going to be that person who ran for office, to being challenged at 30 years old by a friend who said, we need another conservative. We need another God-fearing person down here. Will you pray about running? I said, well, I'll do that. Halfway through the month, I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not ready to take the oath of office and pledge of poverty. Well, as I would always call it, if you're doing it for the right reasons, that's what it is. But excuse me, the Lord ended up speaking to me, and that's a story for another day, but it's a crazy series of events that still to this day just blow me away. But my wife and I we both knew that I had to run, much like today's story, ironically. I mean, for me, politics is, again, I want to be involved, but I'd rather support somebody else, as much sacrifice as that does take, than in the past thinking I wanted to be there. But I ran against who the AJC, our state newspaper, said would be the next governor. And we didn't just win, but by God's grace and thanks to an amazing team, we went all in, all out. We won by a landslide. We won 70-30. In fact, it's a race that's I still hear people talking about today. And I had the privilege of, again, from that point, serving at the state capitol. And I'm proud of the conservative record that I have. I served for 2 terms. And then I left and walked away unopposed for a 3rd term. I've always believed public service should be for a season and not a lifetime career. We have too many people that have been there too long. Look at the people in charge right now. Look at Biden, nearly 50 years. Look at Pelosi, 36 years, I believe it is. Just entirely too long. But during those 2 terms, I'm proud of the impact that I got to make for Georgia. I stood up against Obamacare. In fact, that's a whole other story. That's where I learned it's one thing to campaign as a conservative. It's another thing when your arm's getting twisted, when the pressure's coming down from leadership to stand on principle. That's why it's so important for people to serve at the state level before they run for the federal level, so that we can watch them. We can hold them accountable. We can find out who they are before they go to Washington. Because we got a mess in Washington. Wouldn't you agree with that? But anyway, I was proud to earn the Defender of Liberty Award for consistently voting conservative. I helped to push and supported the huge pro-life legislation called the Fetal Pain Bill. We were in the top 5 states for the most abortions, and that's a topic that I'm very passionate about. It goes back to the first conversation I ever remember about politics with my mother. I said, "Mom, are we Republican or are we Democrat?" She said, "Parties change, son, but principles remain." She said, "We vote with the party that supports life." And so I knew from the earliest age that I was also going to support life. I began to learn about our Constitution. I learned about the Declaration of Independence. You know, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator. Who? By government? No, by their creator, with certain unalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. By the way, if you get life right, you can be assured your representative, your senator will get the rest of the issues right. In fact, it's amazing when you look at the statistics. If they get that issue right, again, you can be nearly confident they're going to take care of your pocketbook. They're going to look out for the other issues. So I was proud of that. That's a whole fight that one day I'd love to tell you more about. But I looked out for small businesses and had to travel the state looking at what are the issues that are impacting small businesses like me? What is the red tape? How do we get rid of it so that businesses can be free to thrive and boost the economy? I was proud that when I left, Georgia was voted #1 state to do business in. Yes. So anyway, so many things that I was able to do. I was able to stand up for state rights. I believe in the 10th Amendment. We need people who understand that, because look what's happening in Washington. The gross overreach. They're drunk with power, and it's eroding our liberty. And once you give it away, it's so hard to get it back, but we're going to go take it back. We, the people, are going to take back our rights, So anyway, I want to go on and on, but we'll keep moving. So fast forward, I left. I ended up serving in a corporate role, where as an executive for an international company, direct sales company, where I've been building grassroots movements. I've been managing teams, and I turned a market that was going downhill, and we turned it around after multiple executives had tried and failed. And so I'm proud of that. It also happened to be products that I believed in. You kind of see a theme with me. If I believe in something and I'm passionate, I'm going to fight for it. And I'm all in, all out. That's why I say, and people say about me, Josh has more energy than anyone we know. But it's if I'm passionate, if I believe in it. And I love this country. I'm passionate about that. And so I want to talk about, now kind of moving into why I'm getting back involved in public service. Like you, I'm very concerned about what's happening. But like you, I'm concerned about watching what's happened since this pandemic, and how all of a sudden, our freedoms are eroding at a rapid pace. I'm watching, these mandates, thank God, that were struck down by the Supreme Court. Half those mandates were, thank God now, businesses, people aren't losing their jobs right and left simply because maybe their doctor told them not to get the vaccine. By the way, if you want the vaccine, great. I support that. But if your doctor tells you not to get the vaccine, then government sure as heck shouldn't get between the doctor and the patient. That gets me so riled up. I know doctors and I know patients that I've spoken with both who have told their patients, or their doctors told them, do not get the second shot based on how you responded to the first, or do not, based on your health scenario, do not get the first, or do not get the booster. And yet they're scared to death for their job. Y'all, that's Venezuela. That's another country. That's China. That's not America. That's not the America that 13 of my family members, have fought for and served. Immediate family members. 4 of my brothers, 4 of them on the front lines. 3 of my brothers, 1 of her brothers on the front lines with bullets whizzing by them, watching their comrades literally get killed for our freedom and our liberty. And yet we're sitting there watching it just go away, be stolen from us. And the thing that bothers me more than anything is so many people aren't even aware. They don't even know why it's an issue. And so we've got to go wake people up. I'm excited about crisscrossing this state, to fight for our liberty, to educate people on our Constitution and why it's important and what happens if we continue to let it slip away. Anyway, in the midst of these concerns, some sleepless nights where I was just praying for our country. And again, I thought my days of serving were over. I'd support others. And the Lord called me, spoke to me in the middle of the night. And when my wife woke up, I said, honey, you won't believe this. I said, but I believe God is calling me, showed me that I'm not done with politics, flipped the switch, changed my heart. I believe he's calling me in the future for U.S. Senate. Now, that's a longer story for another day, but that was a week before the general election. Now, little did I think that it would be so soon. Little did I think that Trump would lose, that both U.S. senators in Georgia would lose. I couldn't have imagined it. In fact, I was supporting those guys. And then all of a sudden they lose. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm not ready right now. I've got plans for the next 5 years. I got my plans. We were headed to Costa Rica to serve with our family, learn Spanish, serve with mission partners. I had financial plans. I had financial goals, and just, you know what I mean? But I'm a planner, and this was not part of my plans. And so we thought, well, I'll run down the road. And then all of a sudden, God got my attention, and God sent multiple people into my life that knew nothing about what I was going through. I mean, crazy stories to speak into my life and to challenge me out of the blue. I wish I could go into all that, but you know what? I don't want to take your whole afternoon. But anyhow, suffice to say, finally, I knew. We fasted and prayed, and my wife, along with me, we both knew that we could not walk away. Again, my family has served, and I am, you know what? I'm willing to make any sacrifice for this country. And we need people that are proven, have track records of having been faithful. By God's grace, I've been faithful. And so we're going to step up. We're going to win this race with your support, and we're going to take back this country. Some of that, there's a lot of issues, but a couple of just primary issues I want to touch on. One is our budget. We are stealing from future generations for our selfish reasons. I mean, pure and simple, it's selfish. The wasteful spending that's happening in Congress is absolutely, I'm going to say it again, stealing from future generations. When I ran last time, we were at 13 trillion. We're at 29 trillion. Our debt now exceeds our GDP. This is a problem. And I don't hear enough people talking about it. See, I grew up having to learn to pinch a penny. I grew up learning the difference between needs and wants. I will fight for you. I will fight for the next generation. That's my promise to you. And I've signed term limit pledge saying that when I get there, I'm going to help pass term limits so that we can bring these people like Biden and Pelosi and so many who are drunk with power, and they want to spend the rest of their days in Washington screwing up and stealing from the next generation. So anyway, another issue that's important is borders. Folks, I'm compassionate. I'm a compassionate conservative. I've been that way since God saved me as a young child. You can ask people who know me, but I love people. But you know what? Compassion is not opening our borders. In fact, that is the opposite of compassion. You cannot have a national security. You cannot care for our citizens and the next generation without having a secure border. Right now, drugs are coming across our border at between 3 and 4 times what was happening last year. The number one cause of death now between our young people between 18 and 45. You might have thought it was COVID. You might have thought it was cancer. You might have thought it was accidents. No, none of those things. Guess what it is? Drug overdoses as of this year. Yes. Now, who's talking about that? I don't hear enough people talking about that. We've got to put a stop to it while we still have a chance, while we still can do it. Guess where most of these opioids are coming from? They're coming from China. Did you know that? Across the southern border through Mexico into the United States. Wait till you hear the stories. What about the lady that I know fell through the porch? She took one pill. She thought it was a painkiller to help her to get through till she had her appointment with the surgeon. That one pill killed her. Y'all, that's happening a lot more regularly than you think. I hope it doesn't have to strike home until we get serious about this. So, but not only that, y'all, sex trafficking. I've talked to people who are running sting operations, and they say, Josh, thanks to Biden now, so many more girls and young boys are being sold into sex slaves. We've got to stop this. And it affects everyone of all colors, all backgrounds, all cultures. All of us in America are being affected by this. Next, freedom. And I kind of touched on that earlier. But it's not only freedom from mandates and freedom from excessive overreach of the government and understanding the 10th Amendment, right? Understanding what state rights mean and how that's a check that the founding fathers put in place. But it's also about religious freedom. So I'm seeing our religious freedoms. If you're tracking it more than ever, people are being, a lady, for example, who was a nurse who had gone blind, who would go to the park every day and she'd sit on a bench. And if somebody were to sit down beside her, she'd ask if she could share with them her faith. Guess what ended up happening? She was told she could not do that. She wasn't bothering anybody. So we've got to stand up. That's the First Amendment, freedom of speech and freedom of religion. So anyway, so many other things. We talk about education. We have, I believe in freedom of choice for parents to choose the education that's right for their family. We've homeschooled, used public school and Christian school, all three. Got my son is the oldest, is a senior, the public school. So I'm for all three, and I appreciate our teachers, but parents need to be involved, and parents ultimately have the final say, right? Amen. So, all right, at this point, in order to fight for these issues, to fight for you, it's going to take more than just me. It's going to take my entire family. So we had a family meeting, and we asked each of our 6 children. We talked about our founding fathers. We talked about the Declaration of Independence, where right at the end of the document, they say, we pledge our honor, our fortune. We put everything on the line for this country that we love. Y'all, it's time for us to do the same. And so it's going to affect the whole family. If you're running for the right reasons and you have a family, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice for everybody. But thankfully, my children said, Dad, we're in this with you. This is our country too. And so they're making the sacrifices. But I want you to meet my wife, who I've been blessed to know since I was 5 years old, who's encouraged me every step of the way and who gets what this is all about. And so will you help me introduce and welcome my beautiful wife, Chelsea, my better, not only half, but 3/4. Chelsea.
Hey, everyone. Happy snow day. You're in Georgia, or Northeast Georgia. I am so glad that you guys have joined us for this virtual meet and greet. And I'm just so excited to be here and just share with you a little bit about Josh. I have gotten a first row seat almost my entire life, his whole entire life. I've known him since I was 2. And, he is, just running for this U.S. Senate seat it's been neat because having that first row seat, I have gotten to see him go down and serve our state as not a politician, but as a public servant and a true patriot that is looking towards to the next generation, our next generations to come. And so I am just so excited that we as a family get to be alongside this journey with him as we fight the good fight. And, a little bit about him. I remember when I was a little girl, and it's all good because really it's knowing him. If you've gotten to know him, and some people out there have known you as long as I have, and we're still dear friends with them, we got to witness firsthand just the servant's heart he has and how he is full of compassion. He's that compassionate conservative. And so he's the perfect candidate for the U.S. Senate. I know he will take it and win it in the general election. And I think that's important. He'll stand for and fight for many of what burdens our heart right now, limited government, individual liberty. I mean, that's at risk right now. I know that he'll go down there, and I've gotten to witness him, like I said, firsthand, going down, truly being a public servant. And he will go up to Washington and he will fix the problems because he has a backbone that nobody can get him to change his mind. He'll stand for
right is right.
Yeah, right is right. He'll stand for those timeless truths, which is our Constitution, yes, biblical principles that our country was founded on. And that's what it's going to take. And so, you guys, I just want us to really think about something. This election here, we are electing the next U.S. Senator, which is a 6-year term. That's a long time if we're gambling on who we do not know who's going in there. Josh has the record that we can look and know that he has voted the way that we as compassionate conservatives agree on, and that he will go and fight for us and do it honorably with the backbone that he has. And he will come back, the same man that we all know, the same husband and father. And so I am just so excited to just be along this journey and our children, that we can fight this good fight together. And with your help, together we will overcome these challenges, and we will take it all the way up to DC and overcome together.
Right. Thank
Bye,
you so
guys.
much, honey.
Yes.
Aren't I blessed, folks? I am so blessed. In fact, you won't believe this unless she confirms it, but I met her when I was 5 years old, and she proposed to me, and then I accepted before she was old enough to change her mind. So we've been married to be 20 years in May, and I'm more in love with her today than ever, and you can see how blessed I am. So folks, as we begin to wrap this up next just a couple minutes, I just want to, as Chelsea said, we can't roll the dice. We're at a tipping point with our country. If you're following what's happening, like I have all these years, I've never thought I would see where we are today. It's like a Romanian friend of mine said. He said, I saw this happen to my country before it went communist, and it can happen so quickly. And so I'm prepared. I've quit. I've walked away from my executive role. We're all in as a family. We're going to crisscross the state in a bus, and we're going to deliver a message of hope and freedom and talk about these principles that our country is founded upon, which are worthy of our devotion today. Others, again, I've said it before, have given their life. And so I'm willing to, whatever the price, whatever it takes, we're all in. I want to share with you a little joke as we wrap this up that I think kind of brings the message home. There was a U.S. senator who was on his way to an event and got run over by a Mack truck and killed. And so he gets before the pearly gates, and there's Peter. There's St. Peter. And St. Peter says, well, do you want to go to heaven or do you want to go to hell? And he said, well, gosh, I always hoped I'd make it to heaven. I'll take heaven. And St. Peter said, well, we have a policy, and here's how it works. You spend a day in hell, you spend a day in heaven, and then you have to make a decision and you choose. He said, well, that's the way it has to be. So he goes down, 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 the doors open, and to his surprise, it's a beautiful golf course. His friends are off teeing up. Next thing you know, he's with them that night. They're eating caviar and steak and drinking champagne and just having a good old time. And next thing you know, the angel comes down to him and says, well, your time's up. It's time to go to heaven. He thinks, I can't imagine it being better than this. But next thing you know, he's up on the clouds, worshiping the Lord with the saints. And pretty soon his time's up. And the angel says, all right, you got to make a decision. What will it be? This is a decision for all of eternity. And he said, well, I never thought I'd say this, but seeing as that most of my friends are in hell, I think I'll choose hell. So he said, all right, decision is final then. So he goes down, the doors open, and to his horror, it's a desert land, fires everywhere, friends dressed in rags. He's mad. I mean, he feels like he's been lied to. He's been deceived. And so he finds the devil and he says, I don't understand what happened. And the devil says, oh, that's easy to explain. Yesterday we were campaigning and today you voted. You see, while it may sound funny, it's a serious matter. And that's what I'm asking you to please. Thank you for being here today. Please ask your friends. I need your help. We need to choose wisely. We need somebody who not only has the energy to win, but has the experience, I'll say it again, to deliver results. I'm a proven conservative. I will fight for you. I will serve you in Washington, D.C. And then, as Chelsea said, I'll come home. So here's what I want to ask you to do. Will you please get involved in this with us? Here's all we need you to do. I'm going to ask three things. Will you pray for us? Will you please pray for us? Will you commit to doing that? Go to our website, votejosh.com, and you can actually click on get involved, and you can click to join our prayer team or just pray on your own. Thank you. Number two is, would you be willing to text 5 friends, invite them to our meet and greet every Sunday that we have, or share with them our 2-minute video that you'll find on our YouTube channel. The link is at the top of our page, votejosh.com. Or just text them our website, votejosh.com, and ask them, will they do the same with 5 people? And see if they'll vote for me and they'll share it with 5. That's all we need. We need you to get 5, who'll get 5, who'll get 5. And if we do that, we can win this thing without a runoff. And so I know how to build grassroots movements with your help. And so we're going to get it done. We're going to use technology, and I'm going to crisscross the state. And if you'd like for me to host a Zoom, I'll set it all up, give you the graphics, set it all up. All you got to do is text it to people. And it's even better if you host it yourself. And we're doing those throughout the week. So, and finally, if you feel led to give, yeah, we can't do it on our own. That's the hardest thing for me to ask for. I don't like asking for that. But if you're willing to, every dollar makes a difference, helping us get signs out, helping us get mailers out, helping us put fuel to the bus. So thank you so much. Finally, I want to leave you with this. It's a Patriots pledge. This just keeps me fueled every day to keep fighting for this country. And this was found in the pocket of a fallen soldier in World War I. It says, America must win this war. Therefore, I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure, I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone. Martin Treptow. So thank you again for being with us. And if you have any questions, please go to the Facebook Live broadcast or even on YouTube. Please comment. Appreciate your words of encouragement. If you have questions, feel free to comment there as well, and I'll get back with you. Thank you so much, and God bless. Thanks for being a Patriot.